I'm Ronday on Thornton, aka Red Chief. I was born in John A. Hospital around 1954 at the Tuskegee University campus. My parents were Ethel Joyce Williams and William Lloyd Thornton. I am a product of Tuskegee, Tallahassee, you just say Central Alabama around here near and on the Alabama River and the Euphrates Creek, where our people been for thousands and thousands of years. I want to start from my beginnings, as I can remember when I was in Chicago, Illinois at 3 years old. That's where my book started. That's where my life story started. That I can remember being this human being, being this person that I have evolved to or from until today as I'm speaking with you. My mother and father left Tuskegee, Alabama in 1955. I was about a year old. They caught the train right down the 199 highway here down at the Kituwah train station, which was a major transportation hub, not only for Macon County, but in southeast Alabama. Just like a lot of our people, majority of our people that migrated during that period of time, we could say from the 20s to the 50s, where I was in the last decade of the Great Migration when I was born at John A. And as I recall, I don't recall that, but according to my mother and father, we were staying in Mitchell Village. And Mitchell Village is located out here on 199, and it was where the Tuskegee Airmen Army Base Sharp Field was located. The first and only Negro military installation built for Negroes to fly planes. When I became aware, I have no recall of the time when my mother and father migrated from here, catching the train in Kituwah and going to New York City. Short story, they got to New York City and my mother hated the cities. So they moved from New York City from their people home to Chicago, Illinois, 147 Pulaski Street. And those apartment buildings we lived in was owned by my big mama's older brother, Uncle Buck, they called him, who was from across the pond here, about 8 miles away from here, because people have to remember, what we call Macon, Elmo, Tallapoosa County. Tallapoosa County was part of Macon County then. Elmo County was part of Macon County. Lee County was part of Macon County. But anyway, so when I became that I know I'm this person that I grew into be over the decades of living, started in Chicago, I remember. And I remember real clearly because my middle sister, Abby, was born. Well, all three of my sisters were born in Chicago, but I was 3 years old when Abby was born in 57. And I was born in 54. And that's where my life story. I could hear a knock on the door in Uncle Buck's apartment. And mind you, my Uncle Buck, if you look on the 1940 census, he was a sharecropper. But 10 years later, he owned apartment buildings in Chicago, Illinois. So I don't know how he did that, but I probably through hard work and negotiation. But anyway, as I say, I vividly remember that because my sister Abby was born. And from that time until this time I'm speaking with you now, that the events that happened in my life. And we lived in Chicago up until Greta was born. My youngest sister, 1961. She was born in Chicago. So about 1962, my mother hated the city, so she told my father to take her back home to Alabama. Now, mind you, during that time, for me knowing this human being, I'm this entity, or I don't want to say entity, I want to say a human species, up until we permanently moved to Alabama in 1962, because that's when my great-grandmother Ethel passed over in Jordanville, who my mother was named after. And I had came to Alabama when we was living in Chicago. And it was always a culture shock, you know, because in the city, in the projects, we got road, we got plumbing. Then we come to Alabama, no running water. Our people didn't have no running water. They got the water out of the well. We use outhouses. All the roads around here, they were dirt roads except the major highways, the state routes there. This is before I-65 came into, I-85 and I-65 came into existence. So, as to my recollection, when we moved back, we first moved to Wall Street where my daddy's people. And let me rewind a little bit. Ethel Joyce was born on the west side of the river in Tallahassee, what they call Tallahassee, Alabama, which is Elmo County, and my father was born across the river in East Tallahassee, down there in what we call Dan Heron Bottom, which people call the Lower Tuskegee Tallahassee Road. My big mama, my daddy mama, was on the east side. My mama, Grandma Carrie, Grandma Ethel and them on the west side. Because that bridge always been important on those two land masses. You know what I'm saying, the dam over there. So we moved back permanently. And I can remember in 1963 when my grandma Ethel died. In Alabama, moving from living in the projects in Chicago, Illinois, it was the name of it was a large housing project. It was named Gargoyle Courts. Gargoyle, you know the gargoyles on the building, these scary creatures. But anyway, my mother got fed up with Chicago, and she made my daddy bring her and her kids home. And I can remember vividly my mother's first cousin, they call him Brother Rush. His Russian. His name was Marshall Jr. Russian, I think. He was a big, tall guy. But he moved us back to Alabama on his dump truck. Because our people on my mama's side, all the men, even my great-great-grandfather, Mose Williams, he was a teamster then. But they drove mules and wagons. They used oxen. They used very different mules, horses, to transport goods on wagons. Matter of fact, when the Tallahassee Mill, and I have it documented right here, it's documented in these books, that this, her name is Miss Singleton. She's an elderly woman over in Tallahassee. She even documents in the books that Brother Rush, my mama's first cousin, which his daddy was named Marshall Sr., when the Tallahassee Mill got their first mechanized vehicle in 1908, guess who drove that truck? My great uncle. He was the first. It's documented. So anyway, moving on, we moved back to the South. And you got to remind, this is the 50s, I'm a 50s baby. We now moved to the decades of the 60s. I can remember vaguely watching, seeing the TV, because we didn't have that many TVs then, the debate of President or Senator John Kennedy then and Governor, what was his name, Tricky Dick Nixon. In Chicago during that time in 1960, colored people and Negroes could vote. Alabama, they couldn't vote. It was very few vote, that's what they say. Because they would take the ballots down here in the South and they put them in boxes, and then after everybody leave, they'd take them and burn them. Or they would buy people votes off with alcohol, watermelon, and barbecue, and buy their votes. I witnessed that. That's what it is. But anyway, getting back to me, but I have to tell these stories. I call myself a storyteller, and I'll start here and go around, but I'll bring you back. But one thing I found out before we permanently moved here was people don't think it's a big deal, but it is a big deal. I come to find out, when I was born and I was 3 years old, I knew it was something wrong, or I was in some status that was lower than other people. Because mind you, in Chicago, in the project in Gargoyle Courts, we had 4 classifications of social constructs that these people created. We were called Negroes and colored people. White people always been white people. And then you had Puerto Ricans. Then our 4th class, and it was hard for me to understand this, was Polacks. Well, me as a little kid doing observation, these Polacks look just like white people. So why were they different from the white people? You follow me? And even in that large project back there in the 50s, we were all segregated. The whites had their part of the project. Us Negroes, we ain't never been black. There's no nation named black. So y'all better get in y'all word about using the right terminology. If I was a cameraman or a video man and I was trying to teach someone to pass information on about photographing and videoing, if I use the wrong term, you would do what? Correct me. So I'm correcting y'all. There's no such thing as black people and white people. It's all made up social races. They got together and made that on you. We human beings. But getting back, so we had these 4 classes of people that were segregated in Chicago. But then my first visit, I can remember, I was about 5 years old. I can remember vividly coming back to Alabama, that I found out that my mother's father was this white person. You follow me? Matter of fact, she took me over there to Redland to a bunch of property that him and his folks owned. Had horses, cows, all kind of stuff. But it's one thing I have to say about Elder Joy. She ringing in my spirit now. She said, Ronnie, tell him I ain't no white person. I ain't no whites, I ain't no white people. Although observation, physical, if you looking at the physical, she looked like a white woman. She could pass for a white woman if you didn't look at her real close. You follow me? And that's where it started. Then we can go on later about the Ku Klux Klan, my experience of seeing that. The Negroes had their water fountain, white people had theirs, colored only. I'm the last generation to live that. The children born in the 50s here in the Deep South. And when we got down here, we were segregated here too. The whites live where they live, and we live where we live. Matter of fact, let me. I don't want to get. I can get real serious sometime. I get off track. Do you know my cousin James Tramiel, Ann and Jimmy, when Daddy first started dating my mother, and she came over to Wall Street. I think they was down in, I think they was up in Carville, living up in Carville, up near Reeltown. It was either where Granddaddy happened to stay in Carville. Well, anyway, when they saw my mother, when they saw Elder Joyce, they ran. Because they had never been close up on a white person who they assumed she was white. They would tell you today all three of them living. So they was high around, hey, they must have been down there in Carville because they say they was at Grandma, my great-grandmother, Grandmama having Grandma Ida house. So they peep around the house because they never been that close. And they were young, they only a few years older than me, to see a white person up close. You follow me? So what does that tell you? But anyway, getting back, I found out that that's when this white-black stuff really, hit. Because that's part of what we live in. I don't want to get off track, but that's part of what we live in. So we moved back to Alabama. I remember the first time I saw my grandfather and grandmama and them killing hog. It was hog killing time. By the time we got over to Big Mama house in Mitchell Village, they already had 3 big old 600-700 pound hogs. They had already gutted one. And what they do, they take that big knife and they hit him up there, split him, and they had these big old pots and all the guts and stuff rolled out. But they had cleaned one, they was cleaning the second one. That really didn't bother me. But I can remember my big mama coming from her chicken coop, and she had 2 chickens in her hand. And she was walking towards where everybody was crowded around, the kids and the grown folks, with them killing the hogs. You know what I'm saying? And then she started wringing them chicken necks like that, both of them, And she popped them, and boom, the bodies fell off, and they got the floppy. I ain't never been too scared of too much, But I ran so fast, I'd never seen nothing like that. And I remember my mother, because all the roads were dirt then. And all the kids, they had on, fall time, we had on pants, the more pie crust tennis shoes or whatever shoes and a shirt. But we didn't have all these fancy Michael Jordan and all these shirts, folks spent all that useless money on these kids, in my opinion, But the old South, so with me, growing up, we was living in Mitchell Village. We started off when we first moved back with Uncle Mac over there in Jordanville, moved to Wall Street, and then we permanently moved back to Mitchell Village. And that's where I met you at. That's where we met. And Tuskegee and Tallahassee. I have to talk about Tuskegee. I have a book right here, Tuckabashie, Jordanville, because this is who we are. Anybody that was in the Southeast, your folks, if you say you indigenous land, you was part of that. And this book right here, I don't the cover because I've been moving somebody. It's called building a home, Tuskegee, Alabama. And it goes on to lay out how Booker T supposedly, but this is in the record, bought the land, the 100 acres they say he started out with, was bought from Ephemia Harjo, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from an Indian. That was his Indian name. But he also had a United States of America name, surname, because our regular, years ago, we didn't speak English, and it wasn't a long time ago, because English is a trade language. That's why people of color, especially Negroes, are not good at English. Huh? And I kind of rejected it subconsciously all these years because I know it wasn't my original language. I guess I'm still that old spirit, the storyteller, to pass on to generations what happened to us. How did we get in this shape? How did humanity get in this shape? You follow me? But getting back to me, grew up in Mitchell Village, went to Macon County School. I attended Chi Hall Elementary School when I was in the 2nd grade. Miss Price was my teacher. It was a Rosenwald built school. You know what that is, don't you? Yeah. But guess what? Rosenwald, people say, oh, they were Rosenwald school. You ask them what the Rosenwald do and who was he, they don't know. He was the principal owner then of Sears and Roebuck, the largest retailer, bigger than Walmart at that time. But he never did spend, they gave him funds, but 80% of all those Rosenwald schools built here in the Southeast were built by our people money, not Rosenwald. It's there in the records. People want to use a computer, they need to read books. It's in the records. So I went to Chi Hall, and it was our heat was, we didn't have no air conditioning, no fans. We worried about heat in the winter, and they was fueled by what? Steam. And what was the fuel? Coal. Coal power. We had a big old coal pile out there next to, to the, what we call them, the swing set. Old Robert Vaughn pushed me out, a swing. I hit that coal pile, and me and him got to fighting about it too. You know how we used to, swing and, try to pop the chain, the higher you can get. Well, I came back, he was pushing me, right? He was propelling me. I was getting way up there. But guess what he did? I came back one time, and he grabbed the swing and pulled on it, which stopped my... And when I went out, I went right and hit that damn coal pile. I jumped up and ran right into it, too. But anyway, what happened with that, the school burnt down for some reason, down in Chi Hall, right down the road. So we were bused because we stayed in Mitchell Village, me and you, we stayed in Mitchell Village. We had an opportunity to go to Lewis Allen. And I think it went this way, if I'm not mistaken. If you was in Mitchell Village on the left side of 199 going into Tuskegee, you went to Lewis Allen, and you stayed on the right side, you had to go to Washington Public. Then you still had Morning Star. What's the school up in Notasulga? Not Shiloh, that's the church. You know, Notasulga up there where they got the rec center up there. What was the name of Notasulga? School up there. But anyway, I had the information. It was still, this was in the 50s now, or the early 60s by this time. It was still a lot of church schools, School originated in these churches here. This is Simba Chapel we sitting in the background. The first religious institution I attended as saying joining the church. I sit in the morning bench in here, was baptized across there in the creek, right across there, and we got sprinkled in there. And my mom and daddy didn't go to church regular like that. Matter of fact, we didn't have no church every Sunday. I wanted to come down because my friends were going down here, so I followed them down here because I wanted to be with my friends because we stayed outside. When I say we stayed outside, kids, we wasn't in watching TV. We didn't even want to be at home because if we at home, we had what to do? Work. Because working was involved in it with everything. Of course, living in Mitchell Village, we had all the anemones of city life. You know what I'm saying? We had running water, we had sewer system, and all of it was created, all the same stuff we use up there. It was what the base had when they built the Tuskegee or Sharp Field for Negro soldiers, for Negro pilots, huh? That's a whole nother story, huh? As it come off the bat, I remember, hey, that old oak tree, I tell people even to the day, when I give them a little history, I say, you see that oak tree up there going up, you know, the section way, you know how the road whoop around in Mitchell Village? I say, my best friend, Jesse James Harris, tried to build a helicopter up in that tree. He always been trying to create something. He tried to build a helicopter right there where we caught the buck. And that oak tree is still standing there today. But anyway, it was definitely, as I look back, Tuskegee, Tallahassee, this area, Tuskegee was predominantly Negroes. Tallahassee was a mixture. Probably during that time it was probably 50-50. 50% of these so-called people, they call themselves white, and now these Negroes calling themselves black. Matter of fact, when Tallahassee, the city of Tallahassee, was chartered in 1901, half of the signatories, when they applied to the state of Alabama to be a city, to be a municipality, half of the names on the roll were Negroes. It's all in the books. It's all in writing. Well, it's in plenty of books, but these three I reference when I sit down and do a little search in my mind to pass on the history of what happened around here. It had a lot of different platforms. I guess the people love to use the word platforms now, you know. But over there, you have Wall Street, which I went to shortly when we moved back, I went to Wall Street High School, which was first grade. There wasn't no kindergarten, and it was first grade to 12th grade. I went to R.R. Moden a short time, and we permanently moved back here in the 60s. Matter of fact, the first time I had been into a gymnasium, you know, a modern gymnasium, as a little boy, was at R.R. Moden. Of course, back, I went to Lewis Adams Chi Hall. We had a gym at the high school. Where I went to high school, we had a gym, but all the elementary school, they didn't have no gymnasium. We played on the what? The red dirt, huh? We played on the dirt courts, until we got older, started organizing. But anyway, like I say, the dynamics between Tuskegee and Tallahassee was totally different. Basically, all the Negroes, colored people in Macon County, just like it was over there, but mostly over here, it was mostly Negroes, and they produced their own stuff. But even in Tallahassee and Wall Street, people had farms. That was the big thing, agriculture and forestry, which we totally got away. Puckwooding. I remember your uncle, George Harris, him and Daddy, they had puckwood truck. They was somewhere trimming limb and them big old bow saw. Drunk, huh? I don't know if you remember this, Bishop, but they were drinking and puckwood, and they was slaying them doggone big old bow saw trimming them trees, man. And George was a man. Your uncle was a man, huh? He was a man, wasn't scared of nothing, huh? Mm-hmm. But he cut himself off the only limb he was standing on. Broken leg, fell down, they were drunk. So they carried him back to Bishop Village, carried him up to our apartment. Because back then, as you remember, we had a lot of rooms back then because people were moving out. You know, row houses. We eventually, you could get the thing. And they had, I'll never forget, they had George laying on a table back there. And this is what fixed his leg. Your uncle. They took the red clay, some white clay, some vinegar, some herbs. They made that that mud clan. They mixed all that stuff together. They took sheets and tore it. They took two before, placed them down there with broke. They put them cloth bandages under there, and they took that mud and they put it all, they just packed it. Then they turned and made tourniquet and tied his leg up and gave him an old stick to walk. 2 weeks, George's leg was healed. Did you know that story? Yeah. Yeah. Just like when I fell, jumped off one of the buildings down there on the Old Bay, underdog. I was a youngin'. It was Houston, and I don't think you was with us. I was a little younger then when we first moved to Mitchell Village. And they were jumping off of some of them old buildings. You remember the old building down there where we used to skate, the building down there where we used to skate? Mm-hmm. And it was about 8 foot high, about 6 foot, 8 foot high, a little block building. So we climbed up there and they jumping off, underdog. Same thing. Well, I was the youngest one. When I jumped off and when I hit down like that, this ankle broke. And I just tumbled on over. They put me on the bicycle, took me up, did the same thing they did George. I didn't go to no hospital, no doctor. Mm-hmm. They wrapped me in that mud and stuff. Couple of weeks, I was good. All right, and continuing on the history of Macon County, the church behind me, the church building behind me, as I said before, was my first introduction to Simmons Chapel. All we know about playing up and down the road, we come for revival, but then I got put on the morning bench and I went back. Reverend Cotton, and as I recall, it was because I'm a relation with the Gibsons, Boot, granddaddy, told me to go over and ask Mom and Dad could I join the church, which they said, yeah. I was probably 9 years old. But Simmons Chapel, I was told years ago by Miss Johnny Mae Taylor. Simmons Chapel, the first Simmons Chapel, was up on 199 above Miller's and them up there, going up towards County Road 50. Going up 199 before you get to what they call that up there, and it has importance to the church up there on the left.
Mount Zion.
The white folk church up there, the white people church. Mm-hmm. Up there where the Magars go.
Assembly
Well,
of
Summer
God.
Chapel was up that way originally. And they said, Miss Taylor told me because of the floods. See, people don't understand in the late 1800s, middle 1800s, it was flooding around here because they had started building these bridges and dams. Even now, I went down yesterday when you told me they had did something down at the Broken Bridge. I went down there yesterday morning. Mm? And but you know, that's another story. Some of the old bridges are still there, you know, but some things people need to just leave alone unless they're gonna replace it. But what's happening? The kids are running up and down the stream, making meth, doing all kind of stuff, you know. And but getting back here to the church, it moved down here. Ortho Simmons, which is on the cornerstone on the other side, you can take pictures. I'll show you the cornerstone. This church was erected down here in 1897. They moved it down here closer to the river. Although, you know, they said because the flood wiped the first one out. But all of this land out here, Ortho Simmons was a protege or had connection with Tuskegee Normal School. Because you got to understand, this is 37 Farmville Road, Farmville, because this was the major routes coming, hey, go all the way up to 80, up through Auburn, Opelika, where they bought their wares to where? Clout. So you had Chehaw, but Clout had a loading station too. The town of Clough, because this is I'm pronouncing that right, Clough.
Clough.
Yeah, Clough Road. Matter of fact, if you go on the other side of 27 down there with Mr. Randolph, say you'll see some broken up cement still down there from the foundation. But they don't talk about that because you know what's a half a mile up from there? Harrisburg School. A lot of stuff they hadn't told the correct history on, And you know why, in my opinion? It's because we are so proud people. We are so proud people. We hate to admit when we made mistakes. And we have made a lot of mistakes. But getting back to the church here, the sister church, the Summer Chapel, which this was closed, when they closed this down permanent in 2015, they had transferred it. They had renamed it from Summer Chapel and took the name from the building over there on 14, Hicks Chapel. So the last church was Hicks Chapel, and they closed in 2015. What happened? But that's another segment too. But it connected because in this book, Building of a Home, this book was issued by the trustee board of Tuskegee University in 2015. You can't get them now. And it started off, they always told us a story of that Tuskegee University now on 5,000 acres. But that's not historically true. The United States government granted Booker T. Washington and the Normal School, Tuskegee Normal School, 25,000 acres of mineral land. 25,000. In the official record, if you go to the Library of Congress, it will say, and they sold 5,000 of those acres. So what they always told us, you know where the farm is and where the university is. But in this book, it has the plots. It has the plots of how much it cost when they established the Greenwood community, the original owners. Basically, Tuskegee University or the normal school owned practically all this portion of Macon County. And when I say ownership now, they were granted. The United States of America corporate government gave them $25,000. How did they give them somebody else's land that belonged to somebody else? And they were our ancestors. But that's what's the undeveloping of our communities, our Negro communities. I try to place Negro, black, colored, African American, Afro American, and I ask people a simple question. Bishop, ask them a simple question. Why do white people's status in the census always stay white and people of color is always changing? They call that critical thinking. If it don't measure up or it don't make sense, you need to investigate it. You need to, what's the key word now? I mean, the most fashionable word. You better go do some research. Now, you better research, slice, reading, self-educating yourself. Because you go to school 12 years and you go to school for 4-year college or all that stuff, don't mean you know everything. Matter of fact, it dumbed you down because it taught you a lot of falsehood, especially if it had to do anything with psychology, history. Science is pretty much science, isn't it?
Back to the relationship with Booker T and the church.
All right, so I have to refresh myself on a lot of documents I have about the history. Mm-hmm. But when we purchased, it's been over 2 years, when we, the Alabama Kituwah Nation, purchased this property because they had it up for sale, it had been abandoned. And I even asked the connection when we came down and signed the contracts. They sent representatives. And of course, we had our representative from Alabama Kituwah Nation. I asked them a simple question. I said, what happened to the church? What happened, You know what they told me? They say the people abandoned the church. Why would they abandon if it's so sacred? Huh? We have a cemetery. We got our close friends. You got relatives out there. We got the history right out there. One of them, before Reginald Moss, I must say this. Before Reginald passed here recently, I was out in the cemetery cleaning up and trying to get a sketch of who was out here because we're going to make some improvement. We're going to keep this church property or this property, this historical landmark would never be abandoned anymore. You follow me? But I was out there because I'm an investigator. I love to learn. And I saw this headstone out there say, Alabama McKee. I can show it to you right back there if I hadn't already. Alabama McKee, 1864, 1950 or whatever. So one day, Reggie stopped up there at the trading post. Our place up, everybody know, up on 199, our old church, huh? Where we used to hold church there. Had a homeless shelter. Helped a lot of people. And if I hadn't told you lately, I thank you for helping me.
Yeah, bro.
To let people, a lot of people found themselves. You have to find yourself. I can't find you. I can give you the proper tools.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I assumed Alabama McKee was a man. Until I was talking, me and Chief Oscar, who you gonna meet, he's on his way down here now. We was up at a trading post. Reggie stopped by. We were talking. And I said, yeah. I say, man, you know, Reggie, I say, I saw a headstone down there, Alabama McKee. Who is that? Huh? He said, Ronnie, that was Ma Binia's great-great-aunt or great-great-grandmama. Great-grandmama. Because Miss Elvina, she was born in 1907, something like that. But I think, and they related to the Carlyles. You know that. You know who Miss Elvina, how she got a Moss. She married a Moss. But she's a Carlisle like McCollis.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mr. Ney, related to Mr. Ney. Matter of fact, your wife is related to him. On all the land over there, hey, behind the pit. See, people got to keep it real. But anyway, he told me the story. He said, Ronnie, and guess where she lived before they moved down here? She lived between Mitchell Village and County Road, ain't that 55, the back way to Wall Street, up there where Aunt Tot and them stay, up there where Erdeline and them stay? No, the one Sandy Beach coming through the base. Because right where Mitchell Village stay, about a mile and a half going north behind Mitchell Village, you know where the power line, that's where Alabama McGee stayed, raising the ancestors. And that's probably less than 2 miles from where Aunt Tot and them lived back there in Cowboy Herd. You know right there at the Tallapoosa Macon County line?
Mm-hmm.
You remember we used to go up and get, the bus used to go up there and pick up my cousin Patricia Grant and them, and we'll pick her up and turn around right there. Created. But getting back to that, because that's who built this church, along with Arthur Simmons. And Wanda Perkins, I think Wanda was a Smith, wasn't she, before she married Perkins. I got to get with, find her daughter. She has the information. Wanda had shown and gave me a copy of all that stuff back when they was getting out the AME Zion connection. She had all that paperwork. And I need to get in touch with that young lady, but I got a lot of stuff else to do. But all these churches out here, they was the schoolhouses before they started building Chi Hall. All these schools, all the churches was a schoolhouse. And that's why you go by some of the churches, they had the original bell. But the school was not set up like the United States Corporation along with the help of our people, the way they set the curriculums up. Starting back in probably, because they had to get the crops in. The crops were more important. Matter of fact, a side note on that, the oak trees. Mr. Floyd was still sharecropping cotton, they say, sharecropping. Cotton right up the road. And they went to school. We went to school back then. When we went back to school? About the middle or end of September, because they had to get the crops in. Sometimes they didn't start coming back to school to the middle of the end of October. And guess what? They were some of the smartest damn kids, wasn't it? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
You know, people just forget, man. They just forget. And like I say, the politicians, our Negro politicians, they led us wrong. But I have, and I have to refresh myself on some of the history. But I got a lot of stuff written down that I investigated and confirmed, because I ain't gonna say nothing unless I can find it somewhere out of first source. Bloody Sunday, the actual Sunday. Tippy Jackson, you know who Tippy Jackson? Tippy was the president or the vice president of the NAACP or something. He was something awesome. He came by before that Sunday march when the incident happened. He came by the house to pick up Daddy. Him and Uncle Scooter and there was some more from Tuskegee going to participate in the march. Because I was 11 years old. That was 1965. I was 11 years old. And when we was 11, we had a whole lot of more responsibility in the wear. So I wanted to go because we was experiencing, again, the difference between Tuskegee and Tallahassee. The KKK didn't hold no rallies over here in Tuskegee. They held them in Tallahassee. They tried to in 1957, the KKK wanted, but our people armed themselves and they went somewhere else. It's all in the books. Matter of fact, I don't know if I've shared this with you. In the early 20th century, up into the 1950s, Negroes was getting support from the Communist Party in Russia. It's a book. You know what Gansmere Road is. You know over there where, hey, Auntie Peggy, my auntie, sister, and them stay over there in Real Town. You know Larry Carr? But Larry over there, some white students, they was getting a PhD for Harvard, came down to interview Mr. Ned Carr, about his participation in the Communist Party. It's all in there. It's the name of the book, All of God Dangers. Matter of fact, what's the actor name? He did what they call it, one play story on Ned. They changed his name in the 60s because they didn't want Larry family to get attacked by the Ku Klux Klan over there. He played the sheriff in Blazing Saddles. You know who I'm talking about. But anyway, he did a one-man act, they call it. And what happened back then, and this has something to do with all the churches here, because he writes about Tuskegee and how they used to come over here to homecoming, and you know what I'm saying? Because he was the first Negro over there to own a mechanized tractor in Tallapoosa County side. You know what I'm saying? And he went to prison because, just like they do now, the sheriff would come and take, because you couldn't read and write English, the bankers, you needed feed, you needed fertilizer, so they jacked up the prices. You know about that yourself. You lived a part of that too. Because where did we go? With mom and them, hey, go to a store, and what did they call it? A bill. Got a bill out of Mr. Bernhard. You got a bill at Batillo. And what was a bill? It was credit. But guess what? You were charged damn near 50% interest. So it was the same thing. So I'm kind of keep it simple. You understand what I'm saying? Huh? You needed to take care of your family. You needed some hoop cheese. Because I must say this. I pick cotton, I scrap cotton, I hold cotton. Huh? And majority of the people that was in them fields, when I was a little boy picking cotton around here, they were who? Women and children. The men were all building and doing something else. The women took care of the agricultural needs of the family growing We broke the land for them, mules, but the women were right there. It was a shared experience. But when we harvested, the men, once you harvest it, you got to do what? You got to transport it. And that leads me to something else when you say about, hey, what's significant about that? Because we used to could take our products right here, right down the Chi Hall, and load them up, and they would be sold. You follow me? That train come through here and do what now? Inconvenience us by stopping, carrying somebody else products they producing, because we ain't producing nothing. We don't know where our food come from. Guy told me the other day, I'll just eat organic food. And you know what I did, didn't you, Jay? I say, did you grow it? He said, no, man, I bought it. Stop. Right there, young man. If you didn't grow it, plant it, nurse it, grow it, you don't know where it came from. You assuming. So we was up at the house. It was about 10, 15 of them. Hey, they was in the cars out there, so I wanted to go with Daddy. You know what Elder Joyce told me? Mama, She said, your little red ass ain't going nowhere. But I did get to participate when they got close to Montgomery and they marched in Montgomery. Matter of fact, Tippy and Daddy was in Washington, D.C. I'm told Diane Robinson has history on it that Tippy daughters gave him when they went up there to the I Have a Dream speech for Martin Luther King. My father was up there with Tippy and more others from this county. Because you got to remember about Macon County now. I have to throw this in. You know, for 6 years, the state, the whites, these so-called white people, they tried to, bust up Macon County. They tried to dilute their voting. And I'm going to say this, and people don't like me to say it, that voting, you voting for something that you have no idea about, that you leaving in the hand of these politicians who you think got your best interest, and how that been working. So they took me off the voting rolls here. They won't even let me vote. You know why? Because in a general election under their system, you can vote for who you want. You can write in. Matter of fact, the last time they let me vote, they had a thing, they had a slot where you could say who you gonna vote for. You used to have to just write it in, but now they got a space for it. People don't understand, they don't understand government because they don't teach civics no more. So I didn't get to go down there during that time because my mama wouldn't let me go with my daddy. And you know what she also told me? She said, Lord and Tippy and them going down there to get their ass beat. The wife was going to beat their ass. And she didn't want her child to go down there and get beat. But I know about Samuel Young when they had tanks up on the campus when the Black Panthers took over, took Dr. Foster hostage. But you got to remember, this during that time, there was no colored people in the National Guard. The Alabama militia, tension on the discrimination and the treatment of Negro people. It was part of the civil rights movement. Lionel Richie was singing when they took over the stage at Logan Hall. He was singing, to my recollection, because you know what instrument did he play?
Sax.
Alto sax. And he was singing because during that time the lead singer was who? Walter Orange.
Clyde.
But he would come out and do numbers, and he came out to sing Wichita Lineman by Glenn Campbell, which he had connections to. And about 25 Black Panthers in leather coats come, cause they just come over there and took the mic out of his hand, took the mic, cause Ronald LaPrade, my cousin, all of them. But this is before they got big. They were still in college, huh? I think they were the Mark something then, wasn't they? Whatever their first names were. Yeah, when they used to play out there at the, not the Shepherd Purse, out there, the club back of the VA gate.
Black Forest.
Black Forest. You know, Grimace was up on Rosa White House, back in the back. When they used to, I think they were the Mark something, whatever they was then. But man, it just erupted, and then that's when the Alabama National Guard called all the tanks out. Because, see, this is mixed system. I'm 12 years old. There's a lot, 11, 12. There's a lot of stuff going on then, huh? And I can truly tell you, that's when our people started to want to integrate. So people say, well, what's integration? Ronnie, Red Chief, what's integration? It's a status that you want what your master wants. You want to blend in with them and be them. That's an international status. You follow me? Instead of them choosing to be free and independent, they chose to integrate because they felt like either one, in my opinion, they were defeated, or number two, which I know it is, they took the money. They took the privileges. Negro sheriff. You remember the movie? Cross the Macon County line? They played it. Jim Brown played Lucius Amerson. That's when they started letting us go inside the movie house down Tuskegee, down on the square. See, it was segregated. Everything was segregated. Either where in the movie, they always wanted your money, huh? Because in Tallahassee, they closed their down in '65 as soon as they started talking about integration. Because what we did, we had to go up on the balcony. The white people sit in the regular seats. We had to go up in the balcony. Then they changed it for a while. The white people went on the balcony and we went downstairs. But it was to keep it segregated, huh? So when they started integrating, they closed the thing down, never opened up no more. I can carry you around. Like I say, in Tuskegee, it wasn't that much, you know, but when you went to Tallahassee, Auburn, Notasulga, we had back doors to all those establishments. We went into the back door.
What was the climate like when Amerson won?
When Amerson won, all the Negroes were very happy. Matter of fact, it's a story. What's the name of that store down on 229 on exit 26? When you take a right down there where you go back down to County Road 8 to the land, or you go back up to Callabee Creek, the backside of the dog trap, that building over there. He used to sell hay, because Macon County was dry, huh? Macon County was wet before Tallapoosa County. But on Sunday, you can go down to his store, the white guy, and buy beer, huh? Just like you had to do down the Padgett's place down there, or any of these stores. You couldn't, it wasn't legal to buy alcohol on Sunday, huh? Where in Tallahassee was still dry. Macon County was wet before Lee County, huh? People don't know that. They have to wait till the Negroes pass something and then they pass it. Well, anyway, the story goes, Sheriff Amerson sent one of the deputies down there and told her, white owner was it Frazier? What? Junior Tranning, my cousin, he know his name. He know Junior got a pretty good memory. But Amoson sent word down there to tell him, don't say I'll be on Sunday no more. Wink, wink. Huh? You know what the wink, wink about? He couldn't sell beer unless he got his cut.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? And if he didn't get his cut, he was gonna shut him down. And this is what they said was said. And Olin Taylor, you know Olin, Jubok Alvin, our friend, hey, brother, he lived down there before Amoson died in that big house Amoson got over there, because he used to rent about 15 rooms out. So Amoson told his deputy, the white guy told Amoson deputy, say, go back and tell that nigga I ain't doing nothing. He's a Negro sheriff. He don't run shit down here. The deputy went back and told Sheriff Amoson, guess what he did? Went down to the store and closed him down. They said, put his foot in his ass. Huh? Said, it's a new sheriff in town, boss. You got me? And then they came out, I think it was 67 or 68. They came out across Macon County line. The sheriff played by Jim Brown. Oh, 90% of the people don't even know about it. And the older people done forgot because it's insignificant, but it's very significant. But you always hear him say, the first black sheriff since Reconstruction. So what was happening before Reconstruction? See, everything they taught us, it's like Dad had told me. I'm going to do this illustration. Dad had told me in Houston. He say, boys, everything them white folks tell y'all, flip it. And the truth will fall out. All right, everybody up in arms about the war in Israel and Gaza Strip. They have no clue about what they said on TV. You remember I went over there? Huh? I went over to the military, but we were restricted. But I went over there on my own, paid my own expenses to see. Took thousands of pictures, interviewed people. I went to the West Bank. I went to the Gaza Strip. And what they saying, but you gotta, and what they saying, because it's all about, what's that conflict about? It's all about what you asking me. Land, incidents lead up. Who owns this land? This never changes, huh? And the land ain't going nowhere. It might be shifted, removed, blown away, but majority is state. But who is that out behind the building? The cemetery. You got me? We come and go all the time. But who controls this? Controls the riches. Booker T was hired. Matter of fact, the first charter that the state of Alabama granted the normal school, the first 3 commissioners, Booker T wasn't one of them. Who you think was on there? You know. Pat Wallace.
Yeah, Lewis Adams.
Lewis Adams was the first commissioner, one of the first commissioners. Huh? And this guy related to me, Austin. He was a representative, got shot. The white folks tried to, hey, kill it. Huh?
And what Austin was that?
Yeah, it's all in writing. I have it.
Okay.
They know it. They know it over there. Trust me. And what was the white guy? I Hell, those were the three commissions.
Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell. Huh? What happened, Jay? That's why people would say, oh, Tuskegee is not a land grant college, it's a private. No, it ain't. It's a land grant college. It's a quasi private school. It's a quasi government. You know what quasi mean? Kind of mean it looks like it, but it really ain't. You follow me?
Mm-hmm.
Like de jure, de facto. De jure mean that's real, that's the original. De facto mean people who claiming to be the de jure people. See, there's people who call they white people status, claim to own all your land. You follow me? It's simple. Huh? You got de jure, you got de facto. See, it's a lot of terms our people have no idea what they mean. Huh? They have no idea. I didn't have no idea. Huh? Until I start self-educating myself like I have all my life. Huh? When Facebook started, and I put on there, especially the indigenous movement, when I got involved, when we were still Christian preachers, me and you were still running homeless shelters. The daycare and doing all the good deeds we did, and I thank you for your service out. My nickname, if you go to Wall Street, you'll hear them saying, hey, Chief, because I was named Red Chief. Red Chief, I was named when I was 8 years old. The old people used to tell me, I used to say this when I used to preach in the Christian church. They say, Ronnie got that thing. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what they was talking about. Well, me and you have a shared experience when both of us professed we had got saved. You follow me? Yeah. After all that, what we call running around and doing devilish stuff,
That's
which
right.
it really ain't. Who can tell you what's right or wrong if you ain't hurt nobody? Huh? That's again another social construct. So I have always known, because my people told me we was Creek, Cherokee, Seminole, we was Indians, huh? Matter of fact, when Roots came out, you remember, hey, Aunt T. May Willie and Uncle Jacob? Remember they had the trailer? Uncle James bought that trailer next to the house up there on Corsair. I asked May Willie, Uncle James, and Uncle Jacob sitting out that yard when there was pine trees out there in that front yard for my son cut them down, which I was mad. Leave them trees alone, they ain't bothered. The trees help produce oxygen. You cut down the trees, you're cutting down your oxygen supply. That's why they don't want to cut down the Amazon. But anyway, I always knowed I was an Indian. And I always said, when I was a young man, I wanted my own Indian reservation. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know there was something about this race thing. You know, because I was up close with, you know, I have a lighter hue. And you know we had to fight. You call your white boy, they used to call me Speck, and every time they called me them derogatory names, they had to fight me. I didn't run away. I ran into them. Huh? But as me being the standing chief of the Alabama Kituwah, when I started this journey in the independence movement of indigenous people, I started checking out the boxes, and I got other people, and we formed the nation, and I was elected. The people who said they wanted to be in the nation, we went through the process of creating a government, and I was elected. Huh? I didn't choose myself. You got me? And we've been hanging on officially 2015. Just like when we started out, and when you started Street Ministry about 1999, 2000, and I came right after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put everything I got. I'm going to burn every energy, any resource I have. Not because it's the right thing to do, it's the human thing to do. See, we forgot we are species on this planet for a purpose. And we have a responsibility of a species that are so smart human beings have forgot, Jay. Alabama Kituwah Nation in Google, and they got plenty of stuff of what we accomplished and done over the years. It's been over a decade. And we made some, I'm not going to say anything yet, but we made some major moves here for our people who want it. We're not dragging anybody. We're not trying to be Native American status. We want our freedom, our independence, to grow our food, to teach our kids the correct information, teach them how. You asked me earlier about Booker T concept. What was it? The balance. Tuskegee. It done lost that balance. You know how to do something with your hands, and you know how to do something with your mind. In case one of them start to fail on you, you can pick up the other one and get balance again, because everything is about balance. Well, as far as I'm concerned, Tuskegee University lost that balance. We got to have people that know how to grow food, fix toilets, fix washing machines. The university, people don't like me to say it, but the university is educating our people to work for the system that holding you in bondage, in subjugation. I ain't gonna say bondage, I'm gonna use something that don't sound so bad. Subjugation. And we always hollering for civil rights. No.